Today I'm going to be running through my watch list and setting my alerts, getting them ready for Monday. I always start off with QQQ and SPY. On the screen right now, you're taking a look at QQQ, and these were the previous levels that I had marked out for Wednesday night going into Thursday. So this is Thursday's candle. We obviously started off weak, and then we finished strong. As of right now, we're sitting underneath the daily 220 EMA, these two lines here. What I'm looking for on Monday is either a break higher than these EMAs. So I'm actually going to leave this green line here. And then I'm going to also move this red line to underneath previous day low. That's kind of the area, the range that I'm looking to break out of in order to allow me to trade. It's a higher probability that stocks will trend if we break out of that small range there. Then I go to SPY, and we're looking at pretty much the same thing, kind of bouncing off the daily 200 EMA, the daily 20 EMA here. I'm going to, again, leave this line here. It's pretty close to previous day high, so I'm going to leave it on Wednesday's high here. And then I'm just going to move this red line down below at previous day low. So now, if we break above this green line here and we start trending towards the daily 50 EMA, I know that I'm going to be looking for some bullish setups. So I'm going to be trying to play calls on some other stocks. If we break the red line here, then there's a good chance that we come back down and we might revisit these lows from Monday of last week. So that's what I'm looking for. So I have that. Now I'm going to go into some other stocks. I typically don't trade SPY and QQQ. It's just a little too choppy for me. So I don't set any alerts on those. I set the lines just so I can see and compare, okay, what's happening on the indexes, and then I'll go to some other stocks and actually trade calls and puts on them. So to start off here, I'll start off with Intel. I'm also kind of playing around with the colors of my charts. You guys will have to let me know what you think. I did originally have kind of a blue-gray background. I just wanted something a little cleaner. Hopefully you can see it a little better in the videos. But back to Intel. Intel, you can see we kind of broke out of this range, kind of forming a range here. So I guess we're kind of still in this range, and you can kind of put it there, but we're getting close. We're getting very close to kind of breaking out of this range. We broke these highs here from Monday a couple weeks ago. We broke those highs, and we started to trend higher. I did buy calls on this stock on Thursday, and it ended up working, but it was a slow grind higher. It really took forever. But what I'm looking for is typically a break of previous day high for some continuation. Since we're going up, I usually make my line green. EMAs are starting to curl up. It's following this 9 EMA, this daily 9 EMA, which is what I really like to see. So I set my line there, and then I'll go ahead and set my alert for crossing up. And this is a setup that I really like. So as you can see over on the side here on my watch list, I have my top watches, and this is definitely a top watch for me. If we get some bullish action from SPY and QQQ, I'll definitely be looking for Intel over previous day high. So I'll leave that right in the top watch. Then moving on to AMD. AMD, we have a gap higher from around 220 all the way up to around 235. So what I'm looking for is, again, a lot of these are previous day high, previous day low breaks. That's just where you're going to see a lot of interest in those areas. So I'll look for a previous day high break. Possibly trade into the start of this gap. So maybe buy some calls on a break and retest, and then possibly even again on the break and retest of this candle here, the Wednesday's highs from March 25th. So we'll see what we get. I just want to keep my eye on it. So once this alert goes off, that's when I'll flip to the chart, and I don't immediately jump in. I wait for a break and retest. It has to be a break and retest. I'll keep that in my top watch. There's not many bullish setups that I scroll past in my watch list lately, so I'll keep the few in my top watch, just in case SPY and QQQ do trend higher. Then we have SMCI, pretty big gap on the daily that I'll mark off. So the gaps here usually go to the highs and lows of the candle. This I am going to extend to the right. So this gap here could be a gap play. However, I really don't love trading back into daily EMAs. There is some space in between here that you can trade into, but I try to just stay away from that. I just don't love running into EMAs and possibly rejecting them and then reversing the opposite direction. So what I'm actually going to set my alert, I'm going to set 2 alerts here. I'm going to set one under previous day low. So crossing down, just in case we are coming up here and we're still rejecting this daily 9 EMA. This doesn't really look like a rejection candle to me, but just in case the possibility happens, if we're weak again on Monday, then I'll look for a play under previous day low. I'm also going to be ready for some continuation higher. See if we can possibly play a gap fill there. This candle high here is actually slightly higher than this one, so I'm actually going to set it on that candle. Set an alert, crossing up. So there's what I'm looking for here. Again, I'll keep it here. I'm going to move this SMCI. I'm going to move it down to, so this would be a strong stock. I have a feeling it will probably try and fill that gap, so I'll keep it in strong. If you look at my watch list, I also have a weak section. Typically, under all the EMAs, I would move this to the weak section. But this, I have a feeling it's going to go towards the gap, but we'll see. You never know. Let's see. We did AMD. We'll go to SoFi. SoFi definitely looks weak. All the EMAs are kind of going down to the right. So I'm going to stick with that bias. There is a chance always that we break above and we go through these EMAs, but on the daily, we're going down to the right. So I'm going to stick with that trend. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I don't force anything. I just know that, all right, that day, it's not going my direction. So I'm not going to trade. So I'll go under previous day low here, which seems to match up pretty nicely with these lows from Monday, March 30th. You got 1494 and 1493. So this is perfect. This would actually be a beautiful break and retest of this level. We have two daily candles at the same level. So really I could set it here, could set it there. See how both of these candles are bouncing perfectly. That's A+ right there. If we break and retest that level, seeing multiple days come off the same level is much higher probability that when we break that level, we're going to flush pretty nicely. So actually, I'll leave it right there. Definitely a top watch. However, again, always go back to QQQ and SPY. If those are weak, then I will be looking to trade SoFi. If they are strong, then on Monday, I'm not going to be looking to trade SoFi, even if SoFi is weak. I need SPY and QQQ to be going in the same direction as the trade I'm trying to put on. Microsoft. So here you can kind of compare it to some charts earlier that I took a look at. Microsoft clearly closing above the daily 9 EMA. I'm going to set an alert here. Again, I'm going with this high versus this high just because this is slightly higher. So I'd like to see us clear both of these candle highs. So crossing up. Again, we're going up. So I usually make it green. But again, there is room here. So we're sitting at around 374. There is obviously room. There's about $8 here of room that we could go to 382. So there is room. I really don't love trading in between any EMAs. But again, I always like to watch price and learn from it. So I'll still set my alert in case there's nothing else going on that day. I'll flip to this chart and I'll watch to see how we react off of that 374 level there. I'm going to flip this down to strong there. All right, MSTR. MSTR underneath all of the EMAs. We'll see if we get any continuation lower under previous day low. Let's see here. This is... what I would be looking for is a break of previous day low and then possibly trading down to this low from February 5th. That's a nice big gap there from previous day low all the way down to that 104. So I'll look for a possible trade lower there. Microsoft, took a look at SMCI. ARM has been pretty strong lately. It came down, kind of retested this daily 9 EMA, the daily 20, and then it ripped back up above this previous day high. What I'm going to look for is a break of previous day high above this candle here. So if the markets are strong Monday, then this is definitely one that I'll keep on my watch list. I like that we reclaimed the daily 9 EMA. Let's see if we can get these EMAs to curl and we push higher and kind of break this trend line that's forming. I'm going to switch this up to top watch. Go to Netflix. Netflix has been awesome. So it came down, tested the daily 50 EMA. I thought we were going to come down and try and fill this gap, but we really, almost perfectly bounced off of this gap here. So this is definitely an interesting level. People definitely have it marked off. The more you're bouncing off of a level, the higher probability that other people are also marking off that level too, and that's a strong level. You know you have a good level marked off on your charts if that's happening multiple times. The only problem here is that we're running into this daily 200 EMA here. We rejected it once. Now we're coming back. This is a nice bullish close into the 200 EMA. However, we closed lower. So what I am gonna set an alert, but I'm gonna be very cautious trading into that EMA. I'm gonna look for some price to close pretty strongly above that 200 EMA. I might even wait for a 15 or a 30-minute candle to close above that before getting involved there. On to Tesla. So now we're in the weak section of my watch list here. I really like Tesla to the downside. You can see we broke above the daily 9 EMA, but now we came back lower and we retested almost perfectly to dump on Thursday. So now what I'm going to look for is some continuation lower. So see if we get any movement lower. So under around 360 area, we'll see if we can push lower to these lows from Monday. That would be a nice little move there. So puts from a break and a retest back up to this area and then down lower towards 352. I definitely like this stock, so I'm going to move this one to my top watch. Hood, under all the EMAs. I had this level marked, had this previous day low level marked. We did break below, but it didn't give me any entry points, so I did not take this trade on Thursday. But you can see that it broke previous day low. So now what I'm looking for is another break of previous day low. Coin again, kind of similar to Hood. I'm going to look for a break of previous day low here. Here's a perfect example. The EMAs are all pretty tight. This is one I'm actually not going to set an alert on. I just don't like trading in between EMAs. So I don't want to get myself interested in doing that and setting an alert, and then I flip to it, and then I, either what happens if I don't check the daily before I enter, and then all of a sudden I get trapped and we hit our head on this daily 20 EMA, and then I'm trapped into a trade. So I'm going to leave this one alone. Once we break higher, maybe higher than this daily 50 EMA, then I might get involved. I guess I could actually. So this is a nice trend line. I could set one on previous day low, but with how strong this closed and we're above the daily 9 EMA, daily 200, I will probably just leave this one alone. Palantir, again, we broke above the daily 9 EMA, kind of hit our head on the daily 20. I'm not sure I'm going to be setting any alerts on this one either. I could set one for previous day low, but I think I'm going to leave this one alone. Meta, closed above the daily 9 EMA. This is a pretty close to that 9 EMA, so I am going to set one lower. So we'll see if we can get a previous day low break and then trade down to the low of this kind of the bottom of this trend line that's going up towards the 9 EMA. NVIDIA, another strong one, ripping through these EMAs. You have some room up until the 50 EMA. I'm going to leave it alone, again, in the middle of the EMAs. I don't really love to get involved. Another one kind of in the middle of all these EMAs. I don't think I'm going to touch this one either. Oracle, similar to, this kind of reminds me of, Palantir? Yep, kind of similar to Palantir. It's just got a bottom wick on this daily candle, so it's looking pretty bullish. If you're just kind of looking at this last candle here, we are trending down, but it looks like it might be starting to reverse here, possibly go back through this 20 EMA. We could also reject off this 20 EMA just like we did here, but I'm going to wait for it to be a little bit cleaner on the daily before I get involved. MU, we're under the daily 9 EMA. I'll set one just in case we break this previous day low. Apple, again, another one just kind of in between the EMAs, kind of in a range here, so I'm going to move on. Amazon, pretty similar, so I don't think I'll be setting any alerts on that one there. So that's how I go through my watch list every night. So I get ready for Monday, and then Monday night I'll go through, I'll do it again. I'll clear all of the alerts that went off, and then I'll reset them if the setups look like something I'd be interested in. If not, I just kind of move the stock to the bottom of my watch list, and then I move on from it. But that's what I do on a nightly basis. You got to be doing your homework so that you can pass the test the next day. If you don't do your homework, you're not going to be prepared. If you're not prepared, you are preparing to fail. So make sure that you're going in nightly and you know what to expect the very next day, so you're not trading blind and you have a plan. I'll see you in the next video.